welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very exciting announcement, and that is that the second round of the One Readathon to Rule Them All is coming very, very soon. In case you didn't know, the One Readathon to Rule Them All is created by Ashley at Don't Have a Degree in Reading, and this is an all-fantasy readathon. It's going to take place November 18th and will end on December 1st. I'm super excited that Ashley asked me to be a co-host because my track record with readathons has been really crappy lately, but I'm really hoping that this changes. My other co-hosts are Cass from White Cass Red, Zoe from You're a Book Nerd Zoe, James from James Chatham, Shelby from Read and Find Out, Chris from Chris's Bookish Cauldron, and Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book. We will also be holding reading sprints over on Twitter at the One Readathon. The first challenge rule is that you can double, triple, or quadruple up on challenges. There are a couple of other readathons going on, so that's probably going to help a lot of people. You can read any form of fantasy, urban fantasy, paranormal fantasy, magical realism counts. You can use any form of reading, audiobooks, ebooks, comics, graphic novels. So Ashley has decided that the theme of this round of the readathon is going to be Lord of the Rings inspired. No, you don't have to have read the books. I've only ever read The Hobbit, if that counts. But so don't worry. The goal is to get the ring to Mordor. Okay, that's we got to get the ring to Mordor. There are 4 different routes you can choose from, and each of them has various challenges. Route 1 is Speedy Voyager, and that is where you travel directly to Mordor to get the ring, or to destroy the ring. And the challenge for Mordor is to read the conclusion to a fantasy series, or the latest installment, and standalones do count. Route 2 is the tourist special. The Shire is your first challenge, and for this challenge you must reread a favorite fantasy book. Rivendell is the second challenge, and you must read a fantasy book with LGBTQIA+ representation. And then Mordor is your final stop, where you must complete a fantasy series or the latest installment, and yes, standalones do count. And then Route 3 is the ultimate backpacker. Bree is the first challenge. You must read a fantasy book set in a non-European influenced setting. Moria is the second challenge.
They have a cave troll.
You must read a grimdark fantasy or a fantasy book with like spooky elements. Rohan is the third challenge. You must read a fantasy book with a female main character. And then finally Mordor, where you must read the conclusion to a fantasy series or the latest installment, and a standalone does count as well. And then Route 4 is the Nomadic Traveler. The only set challenge is to obviously get the ring to Mordor, so you have to read the conclusion to a fantasy series or a standalone or the latest installment. Other than that, you can pick from any of the other challenges. The other challenges are Fanghorn Forest.
It's talking, Mary. The tree is talking.
Tree?
Is to read a fantasy book with magical supernatural creatures. Lorien, which is to read a fantasy book that isn't published by one of the big 5, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Penguin, Random House, Simon & Schuster. Isengard, which is to read a fantasy book with a villain main character or point of views. Morally Grey main characters and point of views are totally acceptable. Helm's Deep.
What's happening out there?
Shall I describe it to you? Or would you like me to find you a box?
Which is to read a fantasy book that is a standalone. So this you can also double up with your Mordor challenge on this one. Gondor,
Please leave my life!
which is to read a fantasy book with a person of color representation. It can be the author, the main character, or the point of view or point of views. And then Minas Tirith is just to read a fantasy book. I will leave everything linked down below because I know that was a lot to like kind of ingest. There's also a map if you want to follow along with a map. I'll leave it linked down below as well for the routes. Alright guys, that is it from this announcement. Stay tuned for further announcements from the other co-hosts and from Ashley. Like I said, I will leave everything linked down below and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!